Welcome to the Women in Industry podcast. My name is Kirsty Davies-Chinnock, and today I'm joined by Daria Wojcikiewicz from TimberTight. We've had other people on from TimberTight in the past, and Daria is a junior timber frame designer. TimberTight specialise in quality timber frame buildings delivered to tight timescales and to tight budgets. Timber frame is the fastest growing method of housing in the UK. It is a sustainable, eco-friendly way to build and a more cost-effective way to build. With an architectural design service combined with project management, TimberTight treats every project with a unique approach and fresh thinking. So welcome, Daria. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure, Kirsty.
When Tamsin suggested you came on the podcast and asked me to talk to you, she said that your role is a junior timber frame designer, and then we connected on LinkedIn and you did a BA Honours in architecture. So is this a practical way of using your degree?
I'd say so, yeah. So when you study architecture, you sort of touch on a bit of everything. So it's a really good sort of overview of, all the different bits and pieces that go into designing a building, and structure is, one of those factors. So structure and construction are something that I delved into a little bit in my degree, and definitely not to this extent. So coming into this, it was quite new for me, but all of the softwares I'm a little bit familiar with, and some of the processes of thinking logically and critically when it comes to designing structure, I am slightly aware of as well when I came into here.
Because obviously, architecture is a huge topic. It's a bit like saying manufacturing or engineering. So you have to specialise in areas. So with you specialising now in structure, I imagine there's quite a lot of calculations that you have to do to make sure the timber frame will take the load and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we do a lot on joists and roofs, which I'm just starting to get into a bit more now. And those calculations are very new to me. We didn't really focus as much on, the math side of things during the degree. It was a lot more the creativity and, the abstract thinking behind buildings, what the purpose really is. So going into this side of things was quite new for me, but it is very, very interesting.
It's taking it from concept to actuality, isn't it, what you're doing now?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So we'll receive all the drawings from the architect, which, sort of being on the other side of that, where I would have been drawing those sorts of things myself for whatever projects I was doing previously for my degree. And then, just thinking about it logically and trying to see how exactly we can make it work, which is great.
And obviously, with timber frame buildings growing now in the UK, as a method of housing or house building, are there many female timber frame designers that you know of?
So the amount of women in this industry is definitely increasing. I personally don't have that many links in construction at the moment. I have only been here for about 4 months now, but you have actually interviewed two members of our team previously, so Carly and Tam, who Tam is one of the directors for the company, and Carly works in production in the warehouse, and they're both amazing women. They definitely keep things running around here, and it's really impressive just watching them get things done.
And with your role being fairly new, and it being a new role as a graduate, is doing it on a practical level as interesting as you thought it would be?
Definitely. So in terms of the practicality of things, it is a little bit more confusing than you'd expect, because there are so many little intricacies to things, and everything is so project specific. So, whatever knowledge I gain, I can learn to apply it, but only to an extent at this level. I have a wonderful team, around me. The designers here are really, really helpful, and I am undertaking a lot of training to try and get to that right level. But the practical side of things is definitely very, very interesting, and the place that it can lead to make things happen for people's projects.
And that's it. It's applying, as we sort of said, the theory into a practical aspect, and that's got to be learnt. It takes time, whatever role you're in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What part of your role do you enjoy the most?
So, in terms of, from my sort of architectural background, is that sort of curiosity at the start whenever we land a new project, and I get to sort of explore it, try and understand it, and exactly how we'll be playing a part in that project and how we're going to make it come true. Because, with the way of thinking that I'm sort of trained in from that degree, I am thinking about what it will be at the very end, whether it's going to be a little extension for a house that's going to be used by families for generations, or a building for a primary school that is going to improve the community. I do really like seeing what will become of it at the end, and how exactly the role we play in it is gonna be part of something greater.
And that's it, isn't it? It's one of the things we say in the metals industry is that metal affects every single part of your life, whether you know it or not. And what you're doing is affecting the community, it's affecting families, it's affecting the infrastructure, but not just the physical structure, but also those little moments of someone taking someone to a new school, or someone moving into a new home.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a fairly new role, you're learning all the time. What goals have you got to achieve this year that you'd like to sort of see, get to New Year's Eve and go, I did that?
So I think it's hard to sort of quantify it, because it is such a learning process. Software is something that I really want to get better at, because those sorts of skills do just come with time. So there are a few softwares that we use as a company that I hadn't previously been aware of. They are quite niche in terms of things that you do get taught at university. So being able to say that I've conquered it, or I've gotten to a really good point there, would be really amazing, really satisfying.
And if we fast forward to your life in, say, 5 years' time, how would you like your career to have changed? What would you like your role to be then?
So I do really enjoy the the aspect of the design for the timber frame. So staying in that sort of realm would work really well for me. I'd love to gain more responsibility and really feel like I'm progressing within that. And TimberTight as a company, it's wonderful to work for, especially just starting off. They've really made me feel like I've got a place here, and the work that I do genuinely matters, and it helps out a lot, especially during this very busy period that we are in currently. So keeping with that, and gaining experiences, taking up opportunities where I can, especially things like this, which are just amazing. I'd never think that I would be on a podcast, so thank you for that.
That's okay.
Yeah,
it's
just
completely new. I've got no idea what I'm doing either. So I think our sixth one comes out on Wednesday, and then we've got a few more recorded. Yeah. But yes, tell all your friends to listen.
Yeah, I definitely will.
So you've fitted in really well into the team, and you're enjoying your role, and obviously there's a lot to learn. Yeah. What are the challenges coming in to do this?
I'd mainly say it would be the sort of like project specific detail and knowledge that you would gain from having experience. Our technical director here, he just seems to be able to apply like any he's got to it, and getting there would be incredible. But I know it takes a lot of takes a lot to be able to get there. So that's probably the main one, you know, being able to just sort of pull information and be able to apply it.
And that is just something that comes with time and experience. So life can't be all about work. How do you spend your free time when you're not designing timber frames?
As you'd expect with an architecture background, I do like drawing and sketching quite a lot. And that obviously also manifests in going to art galleries, spending a lot of my time at exhibitions and things like that. Aside from that, I do enjoy vintage shopping for both clothes, records, just random little bits. Is very exciting, and it helps give an old item a new life, essentially. So and I do like to travel where I can as well. Obviously, you know how it is with a full-time job, but going back to Poland to see my family, I do have the opportunity to visit Sicily this year as well, so I'm really looking forward to it.
And I imagine with your love of all things architecture, you spend as much time looking at the buildings when you travel as anything else.
Exactly, myself and my boyfriend, who is just finishing his architecture degree now, we do tend to criticise and enjoy buildings when we go abroad or we visit new places.
It's nice to be able to have the knowledge and see what you've got knowledge about in real life, particularly in different countries. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So for myself, I would probably say to never give up. So I can't say that's a piece of advice I received verbally, but it's one I sort of absorbed from watching my mum take on, loads of challenges, loads of tasks, as myself and my brother were growing up, and then just watching her, tackle those and come out better on the other side. Moving to a new country where you don't speak the language, you don't really know anyone here, and having children rely on you for those opportunities that you want to bring to them, you want to be able to provide to them. It takes a lot of courage and the independence and the resilience that I think I've got now. I do definitely attribute to her.
So you'd say your mum is one of your role models?
Definitely, yeah.
And when she first came over to the UK, were you little?
Yeah, so I was about 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a really big step for her to take. It really, really is. She sounds like a very, very courageous woman.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it all comes down to just, wanting to provide the best life you possibly can for your kids, and I can never thank her enough for that.
And I am assuming, being a mom myself, I am assuming she's incredibly proud of everything you've achieved. Yeah,
I do have a wonderful support network. My friends and my family, they do celebrate, all the things that I get up to, like this job, like moving out soon, hopefully as well, moving away from home. So yeah, they really do keep me motivated.
And one final question. If you were to talk to a young woman who is interested in coming into a practical way of applying structural and construction architecture degrees, what advice would you give her?
I'd probably say to not be discouraged by the fact that it is, industries like construction are so male dominated. Architecture is also to a certain extent, so to not be discouraged by that, and to know that you can find a place here and make a great difference and provide a perspective that other people can't.
Thank you so much, Daria. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to seeing all the rest of the podcast episodes you've got coming out. It's lovely to see that you are giving loads of women in these industries, you know, the platform to talk about their experiences.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.